Start
So,
looking like-
it's also.
Yeah, all right, I would like to call to order this special meeting for the January Fresh Waterways Advisory Board. So, okay. So first we need to do the roll call. Start over here.
Robert Orange. Grant Schaefer.
That's good.
Him first.
He's
I'm not on your board.
Yeah.
Sal Canino, they still up there. Well, I'm not on the board either.
Connie Flipper, Barbara Hayford. All right, so next we need to look at the minutes and well, first we need to look at the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Updates?
I move that we approve the minutes.
I second.
Okay, so the agenda has been approved and seconded. All right, minutes, any changes or updates to the minutes as read or as delivered to us? Okay, can I have a movement to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, all in favor? I guess I should do that, yeah. I'm learning it slowly, that goes. Okay. So we have 3 minutes for public communications.
Yes.
Does anybody have public comment?
I just wanted to express some concern for there not being a meeting for 2 months and just looking for progress in what we're working on, and hopefully some of that will come out today. Last time there was the IABMP, and then we pretty much had nothing. At the prior meeting in November, it was brought up about looking at the erosion control study, and I realized that breaching and everything is a problem, but we have the needs, and it was heard at the town hall last night about looking at ways to handle this vegetation and take care of our fresh waterways without using chemicals all the time. So I'm just looking to forward to seeing some progress in those areas.
Thank you.
And whatever procedures you guys are gonna do to the fresh waterways, the canals and all the little inlets and whatever, to notify all the people and not just go there and stamp these things on top of the docks, because a lot of times people who own these properties are not there. Like for me, I had to go to my neighbor's dock, pull out the paper to look, because I know she wasn't gonna be there. And, they said they would mail it out or even put it into the mailbox. I never got anything. So they need to be more conscientious.
Yeah, thank you. Any other comments? From online, Nita? All right.
I just wanted to wish everybody a happy new year that I didn't already wish. I don't have any other comments at this time. Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, Don's connecting. All right. I think that's good. Public comment or communication period is now done. Let us move on to the discussion. So if you read the agenda, what I brought this to our attention, I wanted to discuss more fully the Ocean Shores Freshwater Advisory Board, mission objectives and goals versus the Freshwater Corporation, the differences of duties. All right. And when the agenda was sent out, the websites for both were included. So if you just give me a few minutes, I want to just go over those. Okay. The Freshwater Advisory Board, whose mission is to advise, obviously, the Ocean Shore City Council, the mayor, and professional staff of the public works and police departments in the areas of fresh waterways administration and maintenance. And then it goes on to say that we have 7 members and that that none of us seek nor receive compensation for our role on the board. Very short, okay? And I personally, even before I started, had some conflict about trying to understand what our role was. Plus, I've had people offer me what that role was outside of this meeting. So that's what we are. Then I went to the Fresh Waterways Corporation, and the Ocean Shores Fresh Waterways organization is a nonprofit for the purpose of preserving and improving the water quality and safety of our various and delicate fresh waterways. And then on their website, they have this handy comparison between the corporation versus the advisory board. So we just talked about what the two kind of objectives or purposes are. The corporation basically has tasked itself as a nonprofit with the education, maintenance ideas and assistant treatment notices when needed, water sampling, special events like paddle the shores, removing navigation hazards from waterways, etc. So I think my first question out there is that if there's an issue with notification, does that come to this body or does that go to the corporation? It comes to us.
Grant Shaver, I've been with the corporation about 25 years now. And if you want to know history about anything, then there's a lot in the history that clarifies where we are now. But the corporation in the past has been there to assist and expedite the treatment of the water and care of the water for years. But we have raised funds. We have done all kinds of things to help the waterway. That the city and the corporation have been loggerheads for years. And now with the creation of the board, it was like an interface with the city. And they're working a lot better together. But the problem is the corporation is now walking around with walkers. Some of them are bedridden, some of them are chair ridden, some of them are in Florida, so they're all over. And we're just not able to do what we used to be able to do years ago. And so we've got boats sitting there and that we can't keep doing what we've been doing without city's cooperation and help.
So collaboration between the city and the corporation.
Yep.
If I can chime in as a water corporation trustee, not as a liaison council member. So my role right now is Waterways trustee. And in the past, the water corporation did go door to door and pass out flyers to all of the residents who had property on the waterways, but we no longer do that. And so the process now is Doug Dorling, who has had the contract for, I don't know, 2 decades, mails them out. And he also goes around by boat and posts them on the dock. So everybody who has an address on the water should have received a mailing with all of that information on it. The water corporation no longer goes around and hands them out.
So maybe that needs to be changed a little bit, but our role as the advisory board then that's not in our purvey either.
No, that, and that, in my mind, and Frank, you can help me correct this if I'm wrong, in my mind, that the next time we, the city, make a contract for herbicide treatment, that we need to ensure, that we've specified, this is part of your performance standard.
That they notify.
And I think that it's in there, and so, you know, in my mind, I can't remember the young lady who talked about, she didn't, I can't remember your name, my apologies. So it's perplexing that she did not receive a mail out because everybody that I know on the water did.
Okay, so then the question I want to give to the group is that, okay, so there is somebody who doesn't get notified and wants to know where's the go-to place? Is it, can they come and tell us and then we can spread the word, or do they go to the city?
So, no, what my response to that is, we, the water corporation, I'm the webmaster for the water corporation. And when we get those notifications, then we post that both on Facebook and on our website, oceanshoreswaterways.com. And so as it gets close to that period of time, you can go to that website and the notification will be prominent. I put it right on the front page.
It's also on the city
You
website.
should let the city know too, if you get a call out like that, because the city is paying the contractor. Part of the contract is that they do the notifications, and if they're not doing it, we need to let them know, like, this address did not get the.
Yeah, because.
And I'll let him
don't have
know.
Computers, there's a lot of people don't have, they come.
Yeah, no, I get it for sure. Yeah, and we're paying him to do the notification for a lot of people when he did that, so. Yeah.
Okay, so just
Thank you.
a communication chain or something to get that done. And I did just go on to the corporation website earlier today, and there was a lot of information, so that's kind of a go-to place if you want to see some stuff, plus obviously the city. Right, and then the corporation also provides a forum for questions and feedback via Wine and Weeds, annual meeting, quarterly newsletters, social media, and good old fashioned phone calls. So they have lines of communication. So, then to me, that's clearly separated. Does anybody on the Freshwater Advisories Board have any questions about that separation between what we do and what the corporation does? Yeah,
The only way that we can control and monitor the lake is a cooperation between the city government and the nonprofit
Mhm.
and the public. Because if the city does it by themselves, they won't be able to do it. And the people on the waterfront, they can't do it by themselves. It's gonna take a cooperation between the two of them working together.
okay. So this kind of goes back, I get a very good idea, and this might be mostly me, but I have a pretty good idea what the corporation is doing. I still don't have a real good idea what we're doing. We are advising, yeah, it's very broad in areas of freshwater administration and maintenance, yeah.
You ever heard the term grease the skids? That's what drove the board's creation, is the corporation was trying to work to take care of the waterway, and we were fighting the city. And so created a board, and it sort of helped grease the skids with the city as far as paperwork, planning, cooperation, all that stuff. And they didn't handle any money. It mostly was just like an interface with the city so that they could work closer together. And matter of fact, there's a crossover between the corporate board and the city board. And so the goals are the same. It's just. But anyway, the board greases skids and works coordinate with the city
All right,
to
so,
get things done faster.
okay, my concern is that that's nowhere in this language.
Yeah, I know.
It has, in fact, the corporation is not mentioned at all.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what we would need to do to facilitate that, or just leave it as is, as an unspoken understanding. So what I'm hearing is that we're facilitating collaboration between the community, the city, Freshwater Corporation, to achieve the ends to whatever.
I don't think anything should be unspoken, And just- assumed, nothing.
Yeah,
So if there's some way that we can correct that, I think we need to do it.
and I concur. That's kind of where we're going with it. So, when I come in and say, okay, I'm gonna be on this advisory board, and we're gonna be doing this and this, and that's not why we missed 2 months, but we've got a new board. And the new board, some of us, I'm new to town, and so I need to understand legally and bureaucratically. I got the science part down, but I got these other 2 things I need to understand better, so that before I really spend a whole bunch of time helping everybody, I need to know how and what I'm gonna be helping. We've been told a couple of things we're supposed to be doing, so we were like handed things. But I still don't know what our role is within that, to read and review and give feedback.
Yeah, what I gave you,
Yeah.
yes, that's what I need, and as
Yeah.
far as what the city needs, Scott is really who should be
Yeah.
here for the conversation, but he had another meeting that he had to be to, unfortunately. But it's really part of what I'm hearing is you need a lot of public work assistance for, and you've called it out before, pulling trees out, things like that, and so I think that our next meeting, have Scott here and just discuss the public works role and the piece of all of that and how it can all be pulled together so that we can move forward city advisory board, corporation, all on the same page, which is what you're trying to do. But actually do stuff, actually pull the trees out of the water. Marshall had said, I know there's this tree that's been an issue and people keep bringing it up. But Marshall said it needs to go online, but maybe not everybody knows how to put it online. And so I think we still need more education with those things. I don't even know where to go and put it online, so. Yeah.
Clarify, put what online, the request that we. need
The
to sign.
request that a tree is down and needs to be moved.
Can we call meetings, special meetings during a month so that, I mean, right now, we're so far behind. And we need some boots on the ground getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Can we call special meetings through the month? I'm looking right at you.
Okay, so that might be to address the needs that we need to catch up. I would feel pretty comfortable doing that.
I would love to do that if we can. How does anybody else on the board feel about
I want
that?
to do that.
I'm okay with it. I mean, in the bigger picture, this is wonderful to hear, but it sounds like we as a group need to have some strategic planning sessions. You know, that doesn't develop after just one meeting, it's a couple, serious, sit down and work together and then, in X amount of weeks or months, say, okay, this is where we are now. Let's take the good and let's not, wait for perfection, let's just move forward with this and adjust over time, and whatever that is, it is, and our friends at the corporation, I hope they would do the same. Because it sounds like there was a generation of people that came together and were really passionate and deliver a lot of results, and that's changed. So I hope that you folks do your version of that, and we all come together at a certain point and go, okay, so how can we help each other out? So you guys are doing that, we'll do this, so we're not wasting our time and money in duplication, and then we can report back to the city, and the city's like, oh, great, I got the information. The city says, we have the information we need now, let's just execute. I mean, that's great, I know it's grandiose.
No, I don't think it's grandiose, and we have I hope we're all here because we love the fresh waterways and we think they're important. The education part you're talking about, though, I don't see that in our purview. So that's another reason why I wanted to talk about this, like, okay, so there's a lot of communications that we could be advising you to do or advising the corporation to do. Would that be part of what we would be advising? Because it just says maintenance, administration and maintenance is our mission. That's where things started getting really blurry, so.
May I ask, on that mission, is that something that the city council decides, okay, this is what you're gonna do, or do we sit as a group and bring it to the city and say, hey, can we adjust this and have the city think about it, and whatever happens, happens? Is this, like any good company or any good group, you revise over time.
For the library, because that's the one I've witnessed going over their like mission statement and stuff, they decide that as a group. They write it out, however, then they, like, it's their group, as long as they're doing what needs to be, or in the best interest, like. But they write it out, they vote on it as a group, and then that's just is what it is.
I mean, I know we have certain confines as an advisory board, it functions a little bit differently
Yeah.
than other boards, but maybe we could tweak it a little bit as a group. Then we would submit it to the city.
Yeah,
We
you
didn't
want
talk
to
Scott.
send it to us and look it over.
Okay,
So I want to make sure that I stay in my lane. And I'm not on the water board, so it's not really my purview to speak at this time. But I am a trustee in the water corporation, as is Grant. And so once again, if it's appropriate for me to chime in as a water corporation trustee, and I'm asking your permission.
yes,
In my concept of the boards are actually the mayor's advisory group. And the mayor more or less sets your mission. The mayor may come and ask the council, what's your input? But you're really working for the mayor. Frank, am I correct in that?
Yeah.
And
Advisory group.
and the strategic plan that Sal talked about, there's a lot of complex pieces of that. And I've been very involved in the waterways as long as I've lived here. And if it's appropriate, and Frank feels it's appropriate as my colleague on the city legislator, I would volunteer my help during your strategic planning sessions because I have some historical knowledge. Better than me is Bruce Malloy, who is the corporation's chair, and he's in Florida right now and won't be back till the spring. He's probably often available by Zoom. But in his absence, or in addition to him, if you guys would like my input as strategic planning, the water corporation is actually not a city function.
You're going way past what we're going at. I'm just talking about just looking at the, I know it has to go within the strategic fund, but we're tweaking like 5 or 6 words here. We want to get this quickly done.
Okay.
But it does,
So do we need to talk with Scott on this?
or Frank, right? Because if
Or-
it's 5
I
years.
think you guys should go over your mission statement. Well, we're looking for advisory. We've got some things to bring forward for your input. And, that's what we're looking for this group to give us.
And that, I think that was the other, yeah, so the genesis of this is that the city says, we have these needs. Can you advise on these needs, which are here narrowly defined as administration and maintenance? But that's basically, okay, here's the integrated, AI and BP, give us some feedback on it, okay? So where's the genesis? What do we bring to the table besides reviewing what you give to us? Is it just simply review what you give to us?
And then you would come back to the meeting and talk about it. I had given these books out and I talked about the red lines that were in there and asked for feedback on the red lines. I didn't get any, which is fine because we're still moving forward. We're not there yet.
Most of us don't even know what we're doing.
Well, exactly. And I'm not a water expert either, but we're bringing one in, which is on the agenda. So we're gonna talk about that, and that might help a little bit.
Okay.
Let me know after, that might help a little bit with it.
So maybe I can just bring this together and say maybe a couple action items would be that we want to have, more than one monthly meeting at least in February, maybe into March, to get us on board so that we can serve the community better. And we can just maybe tweak a little bit this, mission that we have. Does that sound good for 2 action items? I don't think I need approval for action items. Okay. Yes.
You might look down the road a little bit. The corporation has had a once a year meeting, public information to show the public what we're doing or what we plan to do. And it's always going over well. You heard about the weed and feed meeting?
Yeah, this is the weed and wine,
Yeah. It's always been good and it's great for the landowners, so they can get up to speed on what's happening. But, one of the problems in the corporation that we have is the board's, decisions many times come from the top down. But a lot of the people in the administration have never been on the water. They don't fully understand the problems. I mean, have you seen all the waterway?
I have not.
Have seen the canals that have been plugged up and brushed over and, you can't really understand and make a decision unless you can see, what's going on. And if you want to see the harvester and make an intelligent decision, come down and take a look at it. And we can give you a ride around and show you the problems we face.
Has everybody on the board been on the water? Yeah,
Yep.
I collect it, but I haven't been on it. Okay, all right. And that's for a future date. I think there are some issues with communications, maybe we could work with the corporation on.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
What I'm unclear about is there somewhere in here or action items that we need to be aware of and think about? So the city comes to us and say, hey, look, you guys need to review this by this date, this date, and this date.
Yeah, we're doing the old business, I think that some of that will be in there. Yeah. All right,
I don't want to hold that. I don't wanna
yes, I
hold
think
that
we should go on to that, yeah. Anything else for the discussion?
Please reach out to Sarah for meeting dates and she'll make sure the library is available and set all that.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, old business, or sorry, new business. Lake and Watershed Master Plan Evaluation Team, presented by Becky.
Yes, so the statement of qualifications came out. and were available in the agenda. If you didn't have them, did you, Nicole, you didn't print and bring them?
I didn't know I was looking.
Okay, no, that's fine. So I can print and have copies available for you if you would like. This one is 26 pages, one is 65 pages. And there are Herrera Consulting and Dudek are the two that we received. So what we're going to do going forward with these is have an evaluation team of 6 people. And we have a citizen who has agreed to be on our team as an advisor. So, yeah, Davida is going to do that with us, which is awesome. I brought, so that you can see what the evaluation forms, they're very simple. Not a smart sheet document. By any means.
Next year, right?
They're not pretty. But this is what we'll, yeah, next year, this is what we'll be using for our evaluation forms. And so we will have evaluating these, the mayor, myself, Scott Anderson, Marshall Reed, who is our shoreline administrator as well as planning director. And then I would like the board to select 2 people from the board to be on the election evaluation committee as well. And so we'll have time, we're gonna choose now how much time is needed to review the documents and then pick a date to get together to do the evaluation.
That's the action part. Okay.
That's the action part. Yes.
Yep. Ask a few questions.
Yep.
Is 2 kind of typical for receiving from RFQ, or is that you usually get more?
We can get anywhere from like 1 to 6.
6, okay. that's
Yeah.
common.
Yeah.
Right. And then, this was just a question that probably I should ask in November. So, and I haven't reviewed those, so, the group that, applies, puts a proposal together for the RFQ, says we're gonna work on this. Are they also gonna be the ones that possibly might do the work that gets done? Or are they just,
No, they're just writing the plan.
just the plan?
Yeah, so what they'll do is they'll spend time, 6 months, a year and a half, doing different, I mean, they have to do a whole year of testing and sampling and everything that it is that they need to do to get the information and the data that they need to tell us what we need to do for the waterways. And then we could also use them if we choose to help us write a scope of work that comes from their plan, and or we can select, we could put it out to bid for a scope of, scope, to get a scope of work for whatever. Some of these projects will be small and it'll just be, we'll pull things out of the plan where Scott can have the public works crews go out and do some of these things, because they'll be small and easy, but others will be big projects that will need to go out to bid.
Okay.
Becky, can we do nothing until we get this back and it's all approved and we say, and they go out and start putting this whole thing together? Can we do nothing until that's put together?
No, we can still do treatment next year. We
Okay,
can
but
still do work on
There's a
them.
lot more than treatment that
Yeah.
needs to be done, but we can still do some things.
Yeah, the fresh waterways work that needs to be done, stuff is not put on hold. The other good thing about having one of these companies on retainer is they're gonna be working for us. I'm gonna be in communication with them a lot while they write this. And I'm gonna be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think?
I think a lot of us felt like we weren't gonna be able to do
Oh,
anything.
no, but that work doesn't stop.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, great clarification.
Thank you.
So one of the things that Becky's looking into is, a place for composting. And so we want to get, composting. I've asked her to look into that. And like on the canal I'm on, I've got neighbors that pull a lot of weeds out of that canal, but don't have anywhere to take it. And so I'm hoping that having a place for composting, that maybe encourage more people to drag the weeds out of their area in front of their property, because they can take it somewhere. And so that's one of the things that we're doing. When we get this plan, we'll take a look and see if, the city, we'll have a playbook on how to clean this up. And so one of my ideas was to hire 2 people in public works to just work on the water. And so we had money set aside that we were gonna hire a manager, which I didn't want to do. I wanted to hire people to do the work. And so if we have the playbook and we know what we need to do, we can get out there and start working on this stuff. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to push to get done on that.
I took 1,500 pounds out of my water by my dock last year and took it to the dump. It's expensive when you start doing
Yeah.
that and bagging it all
Yeah.
up. Let it dry, it's a little better, but I'm too impatient. I just,
I'm hoping that'll be a big help to the community and it'll do some of this cleanup
that's
on their
good.
own,
Yeah,
you know, to help us.
Well, I'd already brought up, talking to Ocean Soils. To see if they want it for their compost. So maybe if we could put a container up for them and then they just come by and pick it up on their own whenever they have the ability.
Oceans,
Ocean Soils, just outside of town.
Ocean
I'll
Soils,
reach
you
out
wanna
to them.
contact them, Becky?
right, yep, we'll do that.
Because I bought some of their topsoil and it's really good, the ones that they make.
Mhm. That's good, Robert.
Yeah, that's good, that's a great idea, thank you. Okay, so would you like to select who will be on the evaluation committee?
But you guys let me,
I'll do it. I'll do it, sure. But you guys have to select me.
anybody else interested in doing it?
You're selected.
I
Do we need a motion?
motion to put both of those on the committee.
Do we need a second?
Third, fourth,
Okay,
fifth.
all in favor?
I,
I,
Aye. Any opposed?
Right,
Opposed, good.
it'll be fine. It will be fine.
Great.
I feel like we're finally moving.
We're doing.
So how long do you think? 2 weeks? 1 week?
Yeah.
2 weeks? Okay.
Oh. Oh, I'll take it with me. What do you think?
Because we'll do online too.
Okay, nope, it's perfect.
Okay, so 2 weeks, 2 weeks out, I will send an email to schedule, make sure everybody's available at the same time. So we can all be there, and what we'll do is, you'll do the evaluation before we meet. So have it filled out before we meet, and then I will need the actual hard copy with your signature on it.
Thank you.
The original, and then I'll put all the numbers into an Excel document and it'll total up, so we'll have an average of all 7 people's scores for the final score. But I'll still need the original, so I'll track you down in a meeting and get them from you. And then, what we'll do is discuss why we scored each group, how we scored them, and then come to a decision. Sometimes it comes pretty close to a tie, sometimes it comes to a tie, and sometimes the numbers are like way obvious, this group is better than the other. I'm not going to sway anybody's decision ahead of time.
And you said that this is all online.
I'm gonna, yeah, and I'll email them to you as well.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll have them all emailed out separately. They went out with the agenda, but I'll get them emailed out to everybody in the room. At the table too, yeah, so. And they were all also sent out with the agenda, so you guys were able to see. It's the agenda should be, it's on the city website. If you go down to the calendar, today might be the one that says, like, you have to click on it and it says 5 more. It should have been.
I
in the
didn't
agenda.
check today, but I couldn't find it before today.
Okay. Did you say it's on there or you didn't see it?
I didn't look today.
You didn't look today, okay. Nicole, will you make sure the agenda's online?
The agenda's on.
Yeah, it is. Oh, okay, okay, so it's on there, so you'll be able to see it. Okay.
Thank you.
If we had everybody write their email address then
I have everybody at the table's email address.
behind it. To be that there.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else about the watershed master plan evaluation team? Nope. All right. I believe we now move on to good of the order. Go ahead.
We had a meeting with the mayor, a few days ago regarding the harvester. And we showed briefly the history of it, the status of it right now, and the problems we have going forward. And so, one of the problems is access to the lake. We need more access points, and we need a place to store and maintain the harvester. So we need to interface with the city. And, so he's aware of the problems we have. And so it was a very positive meeting. And, so anyway, it just, see Bruce was there by, Webb. And, let's see, who else was there? Jim Edwards, myself. And so it was a very, very good meeting. So we'll see where it goes.
I'm gonna just then kind of tag along a little bit to that because of like the IA and VMP, integrated aquatic vegetation master plan. I think that's kind of what we're hearing from some people here, that we want to see some movement on that and get some of this back to you. So I'm gonna suggest maybe maybe I'll talk to you, but we can put it on the next agenda. So,
The plan for that too is getting feedback from you guys, and then one of the first things that we're going to task whoever is selected with this is reviewing that and helping us with that
okay, so
as
that's
well,
also
so that we
being
can get ecology to approve it, yeah.
All right.
I wanted to bring up because we are new, but like when, I forget his name now, the guy that usually sits there.
Yeah, Marshall.
Yeah, Marshall. I mean, he brought up some things about the concerns about pollutants in the fish, and then I gave him feedback about, well, do we check the fish at the hatchery first to make sure that they're not part of the problem? That stuff doesn't seem to stay. I think certain things should stay on the agenda so we can come back to them.
Okay.
And that would be one of them, is the fact that, and just like when I brought up working for larger corporations, that every time it rains heavy, we're considering those canals to be drainage points for the surface road. I think we should be testing that water, because this algae just doesn't come in on its own. And it could be coming from the stuff people put on their fertilizer for their lawns and then wash into the canals, but nobody likes this algae, but we should, keep a good eye on it, and if we test, et cetera, would be, an action point. But like I said, these things that get brought up, I think some of them should stay on as a reminder.
So kind of like a point of order on how we put the agenda together, that if things are ongoing, like.
Right, well, like when Marshall, and I remember his name.
Yeah.
When Marshall, brought that up, and that none of us knew really much about that. And that's what I brought up about the fact that, when I worked for oil and gas industry especially, is every time it rained heavy, we had somebody at the end of that drainage ditch seeing what was coming in.
All right, so maybe in the next agenda, this will be in the minutes, in the next agenda, let's put those into the old business, and then we're.
Yeah, there we go, there we go.
Is there a better place to put that?
I think that's a good place. The Parks Board does that. The example I have for that is we have an ARPA project at Chinook Park, and it's been different phases. Nothing is happening all winter long, but because the playground equipment's not installed yet, that ARPA project is staying in every meeting. It's under old business. And the president will say, okay, there's no update on this, but it's on here because we're not complete with the project.
Yeah.
Question, I've never heard the board talk about the, working with the, Ace Hardware. They sell all the fertilizer. Have we made any effort to educate Ace what fertilizers are bad for the lake and which ones are good, so that local residents can go down to the hardware and get something that's good for the water? and not buy something that's bad and make our problem worse.
So that goes back to the discussion. To me, that would be a corporation,
Mm.
according to what's on the website.
Yeah.
That you educate people and you get out there and you do that. We don't have an education arm in our
Uh-huh.
mission. We could talk about that. You know, if that's something we want to add in. But right now, that's not necessarily our purvey. We could tell the city that maybe the city might behoove them to go out and do that.
Yeah.
I think that would be something we could advise.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard for my brain to, I've never been on any advisory. Sal, did you have something?
Yeah, just, I don't know what protocols and when I can bring this up, but I have two things. Number one, I still want to make sure before we leave, I want to know what Becky needs from us and when, so she can do her job better, or what, it doesn't matter, whatever, you tell us what you need by when, so we're doing our job.
When I have something that needs to be done at a date, I will let you know, and it will go out in the minutes and you'll have a clear date for it.
Okay, so nothing else is pressing now?
Not for me, no, if there's a project, and that's the thing, is I will be managing projects for you, like, for instance, we're kind of looking at getting this plan written as a project. Once the plan is done, you guys will be working with most likely Scott and the mayor on what projects, what things need to be pulled out of the plan, and then that's kind of when I'll step back in, but you'll be getting, you know, dates and requests, and there may be a section of the plan where you guys will all talk and say, well, you will, to advise the city, this is a priority. And then the mayor and Scott will talk about it, and the mayor will decide, yep, I agree, that's a priority, and then they'll call me and say, hey, Becky, like, we need bid documents for this, and then I'll come and we'll talk about that, and what exactly do you need me to do for this project, and that's how it will work it going forward. This plan is gonna really dictate a lot of what we're going to do to move the fresh waterways forward. It's gonna be so great when we get it. But when I do have something with a solid date that I need from you guys, you will know it.
No.
It will be a neon sign.
And just a second, I'm not quite clear, I just use the term strategic planning. I know we'll have subsequent meetings, but do we need to do something like that? You can dovetail adjusting the mission statement and that?
Yeah, I think, definitely the mission statement and kind of meet and kind of come up, at least one inter-month meeting this, now that we don't, now we have a little time on some of that. I would say we should at least meet once between now and the February meeting to address that, yeah. And reach out to Sarah.
I wanted to bring up one more thing now that Sarah's here. On this, openings on the waterways. So
Okay, that was gonna be my.
obviously, I don't know what positions, I seen, when I was writing the minutes, I looked at it and said, well, I got brought in on September. And then now we don't know who is supposed to be up for.
So it says on the website, on the freshwaters page at the bottom, it says when your term ends. The city is required to announce it twice
Okay,
before your term ends, so it's announced that there is a vacancy because there's going to be, by the time we're done announcing twice.
right, but do we, like, I guess I'm one of them. Do we have to resubmit or?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, that's what I was.
Yep.
That's what I was at.
Kind of when you'll see like, Susan Delaire's was less than a year because she was fulfilling a term that was already in progress.
Right,
So she had to finish that term and then she can apply for a full term.
right. And so that's staying with me and
Correct.
then his is just on the way.
Because he's been here 104 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my suggestion for, before you do a special meeting, is think about doing ad hoc committees in between instead of full-blown special meetings, because you're really, like, you guys are like on the cusp right now of being outside the scope of a special meeting.
Right.
So you can only stay within these parameters when you're in a special meeting, whereas if you have a 3-person ad hoc and you bring what you discussed and what you gathered or whatever to your next regular meeting, you're able to do a lot more, like take action, things like that. If we don't have action laid out on a special meeting, you can't take action.
Okay.
So it really limits you, where if you do an ad hoc committee, you have more, liberties on where everything goes.
So Sarah, as an ad hoc meeting, is that one where I can just call a couple of people and say, come over, let's drink wine and let's talk about this?
You just can't create a serial meeting, so you would pick who your ad hoc committee is going to be.
Oh, I see, so that
You
would
can't
always
go
be the
say,
same.
hey, we're gonna vote on this at the next meeting, and then we're gonna vote on this at the next, because that's then a serial meeting, and you've now decided
I got
something outside the scope of open public meeting.
So does the board have to vote on the ad hoc committee and approve that?
They just have to appoint, I mean, like,
Okay.
normally it's, on the council, it's the mayor pro tem. Here it's or in these meetings, it's normally chair, sometimes it's just people throwing their hands up, but it should be, this is who that ad hoc committee is gonna be in front of the public, on the camera, they know you're not doing anything tricky.
So we would need to do that now, so that we have something in place for the February meeting.
But don't take a vote, just say who's gonna be, yeah.
So I was gonna, my understanding is you can have multiple ad hoc committees, and some of them may have overlapping people on them, but each ad hoc committee addresses a specific function or question or issue. Does that make, am I saying that correct,
Yeah,
Sarah?
that sounds like a better plan because we as a group do a lot better. You know, we came up with a lot of different ideas already as a new group. I'd like to see multiple ad hocs. We just, like you said, we just need to break down where we want to look at that mission statement.
Okay, so then, let's do an ad hoc for the mission statement. Who would like to be on the ad hoc for the mission statement?
I'll do that.
Okay, Sal?
Of course,
Anybody else?
Robert.
Yeah.
Right, so.
I always draft him.
So then the idea now that we have a 3-person ad hoc committee, that they would come up with some ideas to change the mission statement, and then they would bring it back to us, and then we would send it in for a discussion. All right, then we can put that on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay. Ad hoc done.
Just one ad.
Cool.
For 1 second.
All right, any other good of the meeting? Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I have can you do this public comment, because he literally was loading,
Oh,
it was
Don?
taking forever.
Oh, yeah. I would say no, because you've already passed it and you're in a special meeting, so, but
That I was asking.
I only can imagine what happened before I got here, so. That was funny. All right, so we'll say no. Do you have a movement to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Meeting is adjourned. Oh, did you?